But I want to be very mindful of Amer's time. Please do befriend each other too. Um, Now, if you have questions for Amer, you can shoot them in voice or in text. I have one that we did not address. Is TV an influence to you, or is it something that you check if your ideas are repetitive of what's already been done? I ask this question all the time because I'm fascinated by, I have a music background, and when I studied music, there were people who were extremely talented, but they were paralyzed with this fear of not being original enough. And we're so inundated with media, and in your field with crime. I mean, it's such a crowded field. I wonder if, especially TV, is something where, you come up with an idea, a plot line, and then you watch something, you go like, oh shit, I can't use it anymore. How do you, is that an issue?
It might be now that you mentioned it.
Oh,
But, no, but it's not something that I think of. I love TV and I watch a lot of TV, and I think maybe one of the things is that I'm probably fortunate because there's not a lot of TV that's kind of set in the area that I'm set in my books, in that milieu, as you say.
so that's
So
brilliant
there,
that you have that
yeah,
niche. You created the
yeah.
niche, I guess, and then you're defending and occupying it.
Hopefully, yeah, but no, but I do watch a lot of TV, but I don't think about it. I think I've sort of switched off when I'm watching TV. I like to really sort of immerse myself into it and movies and stuff, and for me that's sort of fun. And I tend not to think about it in terms of my writing, but I suppose if there was something that was really similar to something I was doing, then I might sort of think about it. But then, I would do it. I would probably do it my way, and it would be different anyway. There would be,
Hmm.
people say there's only a certain finite amount of stories anyway, and it's how you tell it that's the important thing.
That's really well put. I mean, this is something I think that young folks or folks who are starting out with really, I think, have to sort of try to internalize or meditate on every time
Yeah, I
that
think
sits out
people are
something.
worried that yeah,
Yeah.
people worry that every all these good stories are out there. What have I got to offer? But nobody can tell a story in your
Yep.
voice like
Yep.
you, because only you can do that. Everyone's an individual, everyone's unique, and so the way you tell a story is unique. But you have to try and tell it as you, not trying to copy somebody else or be somebody else.
Every every voice is unique. That's
Yeah,
it.
nobody else can write a book in your voice or be you. So, just be yourself, and that will be your unique selling point.
Kenny says in the local chat, in 10 years, the question will be, what is TV? I don't know. People said radio is going to be dead. They said it
Well,
a
yeah.
long time
And
ago.
cinema wasn't cinema would be dead when TV came along. So
Can I
I
jump in with a question?
Yeah, Jessica.
Um, Emma, we're similar backgrounds, working class, I guess.
yeah,
Working
definitely.
class with good educations. I can hear
Yeah.
it in your voice, you can probably hear it in mine. Do you
Oh
think,
dear, what do you think about me though? Hello?
oh, Drax, do you think we have an advantage over the white Oxbridge educated because we have a rhythm to our conversation? I can hear the rhythm in your voice and I can hear it in your writing. Do you think that's our advantage?
Oh, definitely, definitely, because there have been books written by working class authors, and more coming through now, and it's the authenticity of that voice that other authors can't capture, and so those voices sound really fresh and really new, and readers are like, wow, this is written in a way that I haven't read anything like this before, and that's down to the voice and those people being able to now publish those stories. So yeah, definitely we have an advantage in that sense, and I think just what I said before, everyone's unique, and if I think it's just about having that chance and grasping it and going for it.
Mm, mm.
I was going to ask something, Drax, because Amir, you mentioned earlier that the sleep deprivation when writing, and um, I find sometimes when I'm sleep deprived, I'm actually a little more creative. and
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, when do you find you're most creative?
Great question.
That is a good question. You know what? It's varied because I over the course of writing these two books, I've had to write at such sort of different times. I mean, I think my natural affinity is I'm a night owl, so I'm always up late at night. So I tend to write when everyone else has gone to sleep because there's no distractions or less distractions anyway, and then I can sort of concentrate. I've never been a morning person, but I have on occasion got up early to write and get some writing in. So yeah, I think nighttime for me, and definitely even times when I have got up when I had that time off to write, and so I had all day, and I would get up in the morning, and I would just kind of find other things to do, be checking emails and stuff like that, and it would be sort of midday before I could sort of get into the writing, and then I would carry on, and usually carry on till sort of late at night because I think that's my time.
But that's the thing what you mentioned also about routine. I think routine is really important to establish a routine. And of course, ideally, like you're saying, you have sort of agency over the time where you're most creative. Most people don't have that because that's
Yeah,
when they have to do a day job or something that they have to do, and so they're forced to. The free time is most often not the ideal time, but then you kind of sort of, I guess, have to train yourself to
yeah. Or you
harness
give
that time.
yourself Yeah, people give yourself a really easy target. Like somebody said, 100 words a day or 500 or something like that. So anytime you do get the time, just aim to hit that target, and it won't be the fastest way to write a book, but you'll make progress.
Yeah.
And at the end of a year, you'll have a sizable amount
This
of a
is
book, and that should give you confidence to carry on and finish it. And I think the closer you get to the end, the faster you'll get because you'll see the end in sight. And I found that was very much the case with me. Once I got close to the end, I was so excited to finish that I just any moment I had, and
Mhm.
plus the story was all there, and the starting off is always the hardest, and then the middle part is just keeping on. And there
Mhm.
were times where you think, oh, this is crap. What I'm writing, what's the point? And it would be easier just to give up, but the people who get published are the ones who don't give up.
It's the last man or woman standing.
Definitely. Yeah,
The,
it's all about perseverance.
yep.
What is it they say about, I think, writing and certain other things? They go, it's like 10% talent and 90% perseverance and
Yeah.
perspiration.
Or as one of the greatest philosophers of all time said by the name of Gene Simmons, also bass player for the rock band Kiss, one
Yes, yeah.
he once said in an interview with Dan Rather, and you can see this online. He said there is no substitute for relentlessness. Um,
Yes,
yeah,
true. Yeah.
I would.
Well, yeah.
Isabel says, I
Okay.
have a book in me for a long time, but my typing is such an annoyance that I would have to talk it to someone to type it. You can speak with what is it, Shala? Dragon speak, or I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You get you
tons
can
of
you
stuff
get
like that.
yeah, dictation programs. So you just talk into it and it'll type it up. I mean, some of them aren't 100% accurate, but then you just read it back and correct it yourself.
Yeah. Stella is asking, do you start with a conflict plot idea or with a character idea?
Well, with Brothers in Blood, I started off with the character, and it took me a while to hit on a plot. And I knew the setting because I knew the area and I knew the people, and I knew I wanted my character to be in that area. So that was kind of fixed. But then I had to find a plot afterwards to like what adventure can I put these guys on? And it was a news story. I read a news story, and then I thought, aha,
Hmm.
I can weave something around this. And with the second book, I already had the characters, so that made that bit easier. But then again, I had to sort of come up with a plot idea, and actually, it was two ideas for two separate books. Neither of them was really strong enough on its own, so I combined the two, and that seems to have worked.
Is escapism a legitimate thing, or do you always have to transport some deeper morality. What I found so interesting, and again, I mean, this is like how the reader sort of decodes it because it's set in this milieu. And I say this often on the book club as a reader. I find it fascinating. Your book is, there are the criminals. There's this task to find this girl, but it's set in this milieu that's foreign to me. And there's this conflict between Muslims and Sikhs, sort of brooding. It's in this immigrant community, and you don't have, as far as I can tell, any, there's no heavy-handedness in terms of transporting a specific message. It's almost like it's a very sort of objective documentary style almost. I mean, I come from film, so I was like, if someone you're just walking through this neighborhood, you're just observing this. But for me as a reader, it triggers the um, wanting to learn more about this. Like I said earlier, that's why I was like, okay, I gotta find, not only for the book show. I mean, obviously for the book show, I want to bring this to the audience. But even if I didn't have this book show, I would have like, I want to know when did this immigration wave start. So I'll look that up and I look, oh, what's the conflict? I'm familiar with the partition and all this kind of stuff, but you see what I'm saying? That's what I find, and that's so frustrating when you and others tell me that the publishing industry that's so dominated by a certain cohort of people is just sort of dismissing that kind of stuff. That there is no
Yeah,
audience. I mean,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. I think that people want to, for the most part, really want to immerse themselves in other worlds. That
yeah. And I think possibly people don't know that they would enjoy it because it's just
Exactly.
not
That's
out
even
there,
better. That's much better put what you said. That's actually
Yeah.
they might not
So
know. It's like if you put
yeah,
McDonald's in front of them all day long, they may not realize that they actually want a kebab.
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I think it's in a way publishing is restricting the choice
Hmm.
that readers have. And as a reader myself, I know just how voracious I can be. I'm always looking for something new and different. There's stuff I love, like my favorite authors, and I'll always read those. But you're always looking for something new and different as well.
Hmm.
And I think publishers are not, they're not. They're just not giving as much choice as they could if they were prepared to publish people with other voices and stories to tell.
Maybe they're just
And
not that curious beyond the bottom line, which is okay. I mean, that's their job to make money and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. But
but then that's a false argument as well because
mhm,
these books will make money. It's there's a best-selling authors who are the British Asian, Abir Mukherjee, Vasim Khan, A. Dand, writers like these guys who getting reviewed in the national newspapers, winning awards, and their books sell. So it's
mhm,
that argument that well people won't be interested or won't read these books that doesn't fly anymore.
mhm. Well, let's hope it changes. There's
Mm.
apparently another thing with this author that was depicting people of color and children, immigrant children, in a weird way. I'm following some of these authors on Twitter, so I was like, I don't know what they're talking
Yeah,
about, and then I looked it up, and
I
you're like, oh my God, are
yeah
you kidding me? It's
yeah
2021.
yeah
It's
I call yeah I came to that late. I didn't know what I saw some of the comments and stuff, and I was like, oh, what's happened? And then yeah, I sort of found out as well a bit late. And but I was like, well, how the hell did that get published then?
Yeah, that's
And
actually
it got
what. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah, it got past the publishers. So the publishers must have thought that was okay, and nobody picked
Yep.
up on it until people of color and other writers of color picked up on it. And apparently there was loads of like Goodreads and Amazon reviews that were pointing out the problems with that book.
Uh,
And it's just you just kind of think, well, were the publishers really that blind to it? Did they just not see it? Was it normal to them? That's the worrying thing.
that's the word. Exactly. You're putting the finger on it, and people that may not know what we're talking about. And the name escapes me now, and we can look it up, and I'll put it in the group later. But the point here is that there's an author, a published author, well-known author, that depicted people, black kids with like I mean, incredible like language from the frickin' 20s or something, like almond-shaped eye, whatnot, stuff like
I
that,
think
ridiculous. Yeah,
the distinction to make with that though is that because this argument did happen on Twitter as well, where people were saying, well, people can use that language and they can write like that if it's a character who thinks like that. But the book we're talking about,
yeah.
it was actually a memoir written by a teacher,
Written by
and
teacher.
so so she's using that is her voice, her language, her experience, and those are her thoughts about real children.
I
So it's not a fiction. She's not a fictional character. So there was other authors that were saying, well, you use language like that in your books another author, a black author, and the black author said, yeah, but I'm writing fiction
hmm
set during the time of slavery, and the characters who think like that would have thought like that in those days.
hmm
So I'm reflecting that. But the problem is that this is a real life person who was teaching these children, and it's her memoir, and this is how she thought of those children and those attitudes to, any of those children reading the book or any of the parents of those children who might read the book is quite, it's quite worrying.
Absolutely. But I want to make a very important point that I find very important. I mean, we live in this day and age, and the term cancel culture is being used all the time. And what I actually found after thinking about this, it's problematic that this author is not self-reflective enough to see that this is problematic. But I also find it problematic if we would quote unquote cancel this author completely. I do believe that people can sort of learn what I actually find, and thank you for pointing this out, Amr, what I find actually much more problematic, and I think this is where the focus needs to be, that the entire industry, the system of this industry, has not deemed it problematic, right? So that an individual has these issues, I mean, that's a problem, but that it's being not noticed through it goes through so many hands and it's not noticed or called out, that's a much bigger problem because it shows how systemic this problem is. So that will be my point. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Angel, yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
please. Yes.
okay, so I did tend to notice that sometimes in certain rooms you can have kind of a chamber effect going on when you discuss things like books. You all want to agree with each other and
Oh yeah.
support each other in the I'm talking about in a publishing
hmm
thing. So it's not a real, in my opinion, I don't know about most companies, but in the rooms that I have observed, it is more like because everybody is focused on making as much money as possible. No one wants to bring up problems
hmm
in this pursuit of making as much money as possible. So anything that could be a problem is not addressed properly. So when I read that story, I wondered if this was a case of that because I'm not necessarily sure I think it's fair to censor her for what she said because that is what she said or she thought. I think the problem came when nobody brought up, is this a problem for you? And then why are you getting awards for it? And then why do you get to rewrite what you have written and published and won awards for it for?
Yeah, this is it
Just
because
because,
she's now going to rewrite parts of the book.
yes, right. So do you get the award for what you wrote first, or because everyone now pointed out the problem, and you get to rewrite it is the award for you getting to rewrite it? There are so many things wrong with that, with this story,
That's kind of what I
from the
mean.
lack
What
of
you're describing.
accountability.
Yeah, what you're
Yeah.
describing, this type of echo chamber or yes men or yes women that are just not afraid to speak up along the whole chain. That's what I mean as well. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, looking from the outside in, I can completely see this happen. I've seen it in the music industry in in many different instances. Very problematic things that have been pushed upstairs and greenlit. Along the way where people for many different reasons, but most of them out of fear to be sort of seen as whatever, Debbie Downer, when everybody was enthusiastic about project. Yeah, that's really the biggest problem. Yeah.
And so I think that, yes, that's exactly it. And so I think because everybody is less involved with how what should be right, I think because everyone is more interested in, I'm keeping the job,
Yeah.
I don't want to get fired, I don't want to make waves. I
Yeah,
think
that's definitely part of it. Yeah, and
that
also like if there were sort of more junior people at the publishers who felt uncomfortable with some of that language, they probably wouldn't have felt confident enough to actually say anything.
That's it. That's that combination. People who are actually,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, younger people who are much more attuned to the sensitivity of this kind of stuff are in junior positions. I mean, they don't have to be young, but I know what you're saying. Those are
yeah,
not positions of power. Doesn't mean that they have to be young, but that could also play a factor, be a factor. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I said. I mean, I mean, if generally speaking, with these problems, we're just always, I think, focusing too much on these, trying to kind of really double down on individuals, and some of them are should be, criticized and publicly shamed, but there's a lot of nuance. Some people are just, I think some people have the ability to learn and grow, and others don't. But
Very much. Yeah,
the system is the systemic, uh, yeah, these systemic issues are never really addressed fundamentally.
yeah. Very true.
Representation. Okay, we're out of time. Any more? I want to be very mindful of our guests' time here. Uh, but I need to go to bed because I'm actually an early bird. Amer's just getting started. I know it.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, very true, very true. Although I have to be up for work as well in the morning, so I always suffer with like lack of sleep because I can't go to sleep early even if I have to be up early.
Not good. Sleep is very important.
Yeah, I know. That's what I keep telling myself.
Amer, it was an awesome pleasure. And people here, somebody said earlier that they like the voice because they already purchased the audiobook while we're doing it here. Awesome. And let's quit when it's the best fun. Um, Thank you again. I'm gonna fly away um, and see you guys next week. And maybe Amer comes back, and maybe Koveri Madhavan is gonna land on people's heads. Um,
Great. Thanks,
yeah.
Drax, and thank you everyone for coming.
Goodbye. I'm flying. This is one part of the etiquette, Amr. I just want to let you know. If you just log off in front of people, that's called poofing. That is frowned.
Okay.
That's frowned upon socially. I mean, you're not going to get canceled for it, but it's more polite to either fly away or walk away and then discreetly log off behind the corner somewhere.
Okay, cool. Well, I can do that. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh, Jessica's gonna poof. Jessica, that's not cool. You're canceled. I'll cancel all of you.